What about another crazy idea? There are firms, they have the list of their lawyers, and sometimes there is an email address next to it, sometimes there isn't. And clients heard of one or two lawyers and they want to get in touch with them for a particular area, but it's challenging to find the right time that the client can talk to that person. Maybe he's at court, they are very busy. We had this in Leonard Solicitors, client kept calling and they wanted a particular lawyer. Sometimes they wanted me, for example, I was in meetings, I couldn't answer. Imagine an avatar next to your picture, someone that client says, okay, let me talk to your avatar first. So they can chat with that avatar, and that avatar has got almost all the knowledge you have in terms of what type of lawyer you are, what sort of cases you do, even the way you charge, whatever. So they can have an initial conversation, and that's avatar can even have a voice conversation with client, which even can be your unique voice. So it's an initial chat with your avatar, and then once the client have got the initial answers, maybe then that avatar says, okay, now I can book case, your case with Kevin. What do you think that sort of technology is going to help or not?
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Um, we're looking at something similar. Well, slightly different use case, but no, I like that idea. I think if the conversation, particularly if you can do it like those video conversational ones. So
Yes.
when I was trying to raise a fund for Diversity X, um, there was a company that did it free for me. Like I sat down in a room that video recorded me with like answering a ton of different questions that would come up
Mm-hmm.
from potential investors or
Mm-hmm.
founders who wanted to join a community. And then it was like it could go on my website. We actually didn't really commercialize it or use it, but um, it could go there. And then someone comes in, they can like literally speak using their microphone, the question or type it. And then
Mm-hmm.
they would see my face and they would have me then, like I pre-recorded all of these answers. And if it didn't have the answer to the question, it would say, that's a great question. Let me get back to you. Pop your email in and
Mm-hmm.
I can get back. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I actually think that's a great idea. And for law firms, it's great, particularly for on board, like, you could do that initial call, the initial client
Yes.
call, like the 15, 20 minute, 30-minute call that you would typically have with all of the questions that the lawyer needs. Really, it's all about the lawyer. And
Mm-hmm.
if it linked the two, like your intake form to,
Yes.
to then that conversation piece
Yes.
as well, I think that would be amazing because then, your conversation piece already has a lot of information
Yes.
which it can generate, um, questions to ask the person to then type in or speak back. That would also be
Yes.
great.
Yeah, I think you can just have disclaimers. Of course, obviously, you have to say that this is not legal advice. You can't rely on this and that, and it's limited. But I think the
Yeah, but
technology
also you wouldn't
is
give
there.
legal advice in
Like,
those things anyway, right? Like you typically don't give legal advice. You might give like some basic
yes,
guidance.
exactly. Same,
And I think,
yes,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, we're lawyers, so we love disclaimers anyway. Why not? Why not?
No, very interesting. No, yes, so other challenges, I mean, law firms are having is shifting from traditional way of billing to a more kind of fixed fee. And I can see that the old system is not working. When I took over the firm, they were still going on about, I mean, retainers or charging by the hour. And it's like asking somebody to come to your home and do construction work, and they tell you, I don't know how much it's going to cost you. I will tell you at the end. You wouldn't normally accept that. So, do you have that experience that we have this change?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not like we have hourly rates here, and for certain types of work, I'll charge it. If it's small, I know where the hours are going to be contained. I usually say it's going to be up to around this, and usually it's no more than a few hours. So I wouldn't do it
Mhm.
if I think it's going to be like 5, 10 hours. I would generally just say, look, here's a fixed fee. price for it because I've got it in
mm,
my head.
mm,
If it's somewhere between like 1 and 3 hours, I'm like,
mm,
it's going to be between 1 and 3 hours, but I'm going to charge you an hourly rate for
it's
it.
very low.
All
Yes.
right. But then most of my work, to be honest, most of the lawyers in the firm, we all charge fixed fees. I have this, I spend quite a lot of time in house. So I was a client, I was buying legal services,
Mm,
buying external lawyers, and like I had the clarity of I need to know, I need the budget because
mm,
ultimately she didn't come from my department's budget, it came from the business side's budget. And I don't
mm,
want them going to me, Kevin, you use these lawyers, they're really, really expensive. And I'm like, well, because they're good. They can answer the
mm,
questions I need, and I can't, we're not using Bob down the road who charges £50 because he's a friend of you, like yours. We're a big global company. We need a level of service and we need a level of, I guess, comfort from their insurance that we're
mm,
dealing with the right people. So I would always be fixed fee. Even when it was litigation, I'd be like, okay, look, I know you can't necessarily price everything in, but let's try and get at least like this stage, this piece of work, that's fixed fee. If it goes to this stage, if there's appeal, we'll talk about those, but let's just try and, so
mm,
we try and, I used to try and force it. The one place I couldn't do that was the US, interestingly.
mm,
You just couldn't, like, they struggled to move away from fixed fee. Like, we got some things on fixed fee, but very rarely did we get it.
mm,
And it was frustrating
mm,
for the clients, because
mm, mm.
I'm just sending them the bills again. It's a litigation matter. You got to pay this. So I do think, I'm a big fan of fixed fee, fixed or cap
Yes,
fee. Um,
yes.
I, I I think is fair, but it's got to work both ways, right?
In
But
in Australia, 90% of the firms, over 90% of the firm have moved on to fixed fees, interestingly.
that is interesting. That's really
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, Anything else you want to add, Kevin,
No,
from
I
your
mean, I think law firms, particularly like the smaller ones, like newer, smaller, we're trying to do things. What I would say is there is a ton of technology now in the legal space to help lawyers, to help in-house legal departments.
mm, mm,
What I will say is they are skewed to bigger law firms
mm,
with deeper pockets who can afford them.
mm, yes,
So actually, I don't think there's sufficient quality of
mm,
technology out there for the small law firm. Like really,
yes,
like it's
uh,
expensive. When someone goes to you, it's a 50,000 outlay, and you're new firm, and you've got, do I want this piece of technology or do I want to afford my SRA, like the insurance? I'm going to take the insurance every time, right? Every time I'm going to want to be able to pay my insurance bill,
mm,
because that underpins the whole point of getting regulated, right?
mm,
Yeah, but if you're alternative service, like you're relying on, because until you got stable cash flow, that
mm,
you've got those reserves to make it. And then it's not just that, right? Like when you got that, you're probably at a size of firm where you got a number of lawyers. And if you've ever tried to deploy technology to lawyers, there's always resistance. Like I've done a couple of projects when I was
absolutely.
in-house, bringing in technology into the business. And there's a lot of work to
Mm,
which,
mm,
lawyers don't want it. And you're like, this is for you. What somebody in this team has to pick. I picked up the work. But then
mm,
the usage of it was very low. Like we
yes,
spent, and I was like, we're buying this Ferrari, we're driving it like a Fiat. Like we spent a
mm,
lot of money on this, all bells and whistles because everybody wanted that. But actually, the
yes,
reality is, you guys you're not using it. Like you're not using it. And I used to make that joke. Like we bought the Ferrari to drive a Fiat. Like it doesn't make sense.
mm, mm,
That's just
absolutely.
it's wasted costs, in my view. So I do think like a law firms also do need supporting. There's such an abundance of different technologies, different names out there, and it's moving so quickly as well. It's help finding the right technology that's going to grow with you because you also don't want to be chopping and changing constantly.
Yes,
System
absolutely.
that's disorientating, which is always a fear as well with lawyers. Like, oh, we'll use this, but we're gonna, am I going to be using this in 5 years' time? If not, why am I
Mm,
spending time using it now?
mm, mm. Absolutely, I agree with you. And Uh, you mentioned something really important, something that people use at the same time it can grow with the firm. You can't afford to go ahead and get a very expensive system that people don't even understand.
Yeah.
I put together a couple of books about AI for legal professionals, and I also have an online course, AI plus law. In that course, it's just within 2 hours you can finish it basically. It touches on areas where AI can be used, should be used, areas where it shouldn't be used, and if you want to implement, how you should implement, how you should train your team. I also covered the best AI tools for lawyers in 2025. It's a very useful course. I priced it at $99, but I'm selling it for $9 basically, and I want the more lawyers to be equipped with it. And at the end of the course, they get a certificate. What I learned through all this research is actually confirming what you said, is basically resistance towards in introducing the technology, and also something that can be affordable and grow with you. So we put together a tier-based platform for small, medium law firms. It starts from as I said, AR receptionist to tackle the intake part of it, and grows into more areas of tackling your social media, automating your posts, centralizing all your system within this platform, a lot more. So tier by tier. So that is working actually. And a lot of firms are taking the first step. And because what we offer is helping them to reduce costs and generate more income, and it's very easy to implement. They don't have to learn anything. Basically, it taps into your own CRM system. Basically, what you get extra source of client intake. So gradually, that way they see, okay, there is a technology, it's working. Let's see what else we can do. And gradually, you roll it out to knowledge base and this and that. So the key is what you mentioned, that something that can gradually grow with you to help you become a more advanced, modern law firm. Something that clients expect. I can't emphasize enough that the client's expectations are shifting. And if you really want to be a 2025 law firm, you have to be in line with the speed of technology to some extent.
Yeah, look, I think across my entire career, 20 plus years, and living globally, like clients have always expected the firms to be up to date with technology. They just
Mm,
obviously the clients don't want to see the cost of that on their fees, on the fees that
mm,
are charged. That was always it. Um,
mm,
Legal profession has always been slower than the accountancy.
mm,
The accountancy have always been much quicker to pick up technology.
yeah.
I think that gap is narrowing,
Mm,
mainly because there's, as I said, an abundance of opportunity within the legal sector.
mm,
A lot of fintechs are picking up some of the accountancy things. So, um, there there's a lot of technology there, but I think because there's been a focus on the legal sector as being ripe for opportunity,
mm,
um, I think we are moving faster. I'd, I think firms need to be choosy about what the
mm,
type of product they're looking for. Um, and it's got to go with them. So it does need either someone who, if you're a small firm, you probably don't have like a CTO, a CIO, like we don't. So you should be speaking to other firms, like
mm,
talking, like what sort of things are you doing, and even like speaking to some of the bigger firms and just saying like, where are you seeing these trends going? What sort of
mm,
technology are you using? And then trying to find technology that fits your firm,
mm,
your budget as well, because um, spending a ton of money on technology that in the end, if it doesn't bring in the financial rewards, because there's got to be a return on investment, right? Like it's not
mm,
just about delivering, okay, well, we're delivering the faster content. If you're not, then, the aim of that, okay, we can we should be able to. get more clients and bill more. You should not, even though our client spend on each matter now is lower because we're using technology to help us and so forth.
Mm.
Actually, we shouldn't be, we should see an increase in revenue because we're actually servicing more clients or able to work
Yes,
on more matters simultaneously.
absolutely.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You're right. Yes, going back to efficiency, yes, we are spending less time doing the same thing using technology, but at the same time, we can do it because we are expert in that sense, you know. An expert, experienced lawyer will understand whether or not the output is right, you know. If an output is produced and an experienced lawyer hasn't checked it, I don't think it has any value. You know, you have to put your stamp on it, and this is something that our clients should understand. At the end of the day, you are the one who is putting your stamp on it and saying that this is a contract that I approve. Doesn't matter if you spend 1 hour doing it or 20 hours doing it, it's the same. Otherwise, people would go to uh, a shop and get a contract or somebody else if they
Yeah,
charge.
I'm totally with that. I sometimes like reflect on this and I think the AI tools are probably better served for more senior lawyers in some senses, right? Because they can sense check everything. Like a junior lawyer can do get the prompts and put them in and get that. But actually, I do think because I worry about the profession, right? Like if part of like being in this profession is at the early days, you're doing some really boring stuff. But
Mm-hmm,
actually, it's giving you that attention to detail. It's showing you bigger picture, smaller picture, in the weeds, 60,000 feet view.
mm-hmm,
And you learn from that because it's repetitive, like over and over and over and over. That's all you do. And actually, that's what then, you're 10, 15, 20 years qualified. Like it's those basic things that, it's just second nature to you now. Like
mm-hmm,
it's instantaneous, it's fast. Like your response is fast. We can think very, very quickly, which is why like,
mm-hmm.
really experienced lawyers are great on their feet, right? They can then come up with arguments because they've got this repertoire of repetitiveness. It's like
Yes.
training for sports, right? You don't go out and play a 90-minute game of football and that's it.
Mm,
Like the elite, they train every single day. Those moves, those patterns, those things
absolutely.
that we see look spontaneous. They've trained it. They've trained on that. And
Yes,
that's
yes.
what we're doing as lawyers. Like that's what a part of our training. So if you take that away and say, well, junior lawyers now are not really doing those things. They're
Mm-hmm,
using technology. Like they're not learning those critical skills, which I think which don't get me wrong, when I was a junior lawyer, I hated that stuff. Some of
yes, yeah.
so mundane, like the oh my gosh, the redlining of documents, like reviewing like 2 o'clock in the morning, you're sat there like reviewing documents, like what is wrong with my life? Did I make the right choice?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But actually, now I look back and go, I learned a ton from that. And if I hadn't
Yes,
done, but
yes.
if I hadn't done that, what is my experience? So my point being, maybe the AI tools are better served for the seniors because also that's where, from a client's perspective, that's where the cost works up. The junior lawyers, in normal size firms, I'm not talking about the big American firms and that, they're priced
Mm-hmm,
pretty relatively market
mm-hmm.
friendly, I think.
Yes,
Don't worry about them
absolutely.
doing the work and spending money on them as a client. Like it's when they go to the partner or a more senior lawyer and it's their fees are much higher. And it's like,
Mm,
hold on, why is that lawyer spending 3 hours on the matter? Actually, maybe they should only be spending an hour and let the junior lawyer do more because that,
yes.
it's having that, but they need that. And so the tool should be to help the more senior lawyer.
Yes, but the thing is, we cannot, when the technology arrives, you cannot go back and use the old technology,
That is true.
unfortunately or fortunately, you know. These days, I don't remember when was the last time I actually typed something, you know. Forget about writing something with a pen on a piece of paper. I don't know when was the last time I wrote something on a piece of paper. But hardly I ever even type. I just do everything with voice typing. You know, I don't touch my screen. I don't touch, even if I want to send a text message, most of the time I just voice type it and then check it and then send it off. You know, we can't. expect a junior lawyer to now go back and sit with a pen and paper, reading the document and doing the hard work and repetitive work. But we expect them to actually learn the craft of using technology in the best way possible. So learn the craft of what is AI, understand the language of it, they should learn what is LLM, how it works. If they know how a language model work, then they can work with it better. So basically, instead of doing all those repetitive work, I believe that junior lawyers and even senior lawyers should understand the technology, should spend time to realize and understand how this technology works and make the most of it. Because I always use this frame and I like it. People worried about their jobs, junior lawyers think, am I going to have a job later on with this technology? But AI is not going to take their job. People who are using AI, understanding AI, using it every day are going to take their job. So
Yeah, no,
basically, if
that's true.
anybody worried about their job, they have to understand the technology. To be fair, it's there, we never got a vote whether or not we should have AI in our life. It's there, and nobody is going to stop it. It's going fast. And there is a race, China wouldn't want to slow down because the US will take over. US
Yeah.
doesn't want to slow down because China is going to go advance. Unfortunately, lawmakers are not going to do anything. They don't even understand what is the technology, what is it doing. So the technology companies are moving fast. All we have to do is to try to catch up to some extent. We cannot catch up fully, but to understand the technology and use it if we care about our job and care about the job of our junior lawyers. This is what the message we have to pass on to them, I think. What do you
No, I
think?
agree. I agree. Like, I do agree that if you don't embrace the technology now, you're the one. That's what will replace you is people who have embraced it.
Yes,
Yeah, but it is
absolutely.
people who embraced it. Yeah, I agree.
And it's a fact, it's nothing, we can't argue with this fact. It's not something that we can say, oh, it's wrong or right. It's a fact, and I
Yeah,
believe this is what it is. And that is why I embraced it 3 years ago and start reading it, understanding it. Hopefully, I can pass some of that to my colleagues and offer them some services that they can also understand a bit of technology.
yeah, brilliant.